So you're playing Genshin, you're doing the current event, and you have gotten Cloudforged, which is the event bow from this current event. I'm going to try and say event 5 more times in this video. See if I do. So we are going to talk about this event weapon in this event video, and we are going to see what it does and who it can be good for. So first off, does get up elemental mastery as its main stat. The passive after elemental energy is decreased, the equipping character's elemental mastery will be increased by 40 for 18 seconds with a max of 2 stacks. Now we are going to put this weapon on Sethos, the newest 4-star on Claren's banner, and we are going to show this weapon in action. Now, with how Sethos kit works with his skill, which we are going to have his basics guide coming out, which his basics guide should already be out, you are going to be able to decrease your burst energy, that was the elemental energy. You'll be able to decrease it using his skill upon causing electro reactions. So if we decrease his energy, we can then open his thing back up, and we can see that he was given 40 extra EM. If we then do it again, he would go up another 40 EM. So this is going to be really, really good for a character like Sethos that wants a ton of EM. Now, this does need you to use the energy drop from the weapon. Now, this does need you to drop your energy down here to trigger the passives, right? Sethos is able to get both stacks relatively quickly, so that way you can get the full passive of this weapon. And it will be very, very good for him because his burst damage does scale off of elemental mastery, so he can take full use of this weapon's passive and main stat. Now the question is, who else can this weapon be good for? Is it only going to be good for Sethos? Well, first we need to do a little bit of testing and see if the passive works just by using your burst, because technically you are taking its energy from full to 0. And I wanted to see if that would still trigger the passive. So I tried doing it with official, but I had a lot of shenanigans going on. So Doggy, if you would skip to Calais, where we do it with Calais. Calais in with 0 artifacts, only having Dendro Resonance and this weapon on her, giving her 86 EM before we start trying to trigger this passive. If we then go up to some enemies and we use her burst, it will then take her burst from full to 0, meaning it decreased the burst energy, and it will in fact give her an extra 40 EM. So she went from 86 to 126. Now, if we had enough energy recharge on Calais to then get her burst all the way back up within that 18 seconds and then use it again, we would go up another 40. But the only character that can decrease their burst energy without using their burst is Sethos. So he is the only character currently that can reliably trigger this passive without having to rely on something like an insanely high energy recharge or a super, super low burst cost. So that way you could just trigger it twice in a row with her burst within 18 seconds. So is this weapon going to be good for anybody else? Well, you do have Sethos. You do have somebody like Fischl who can make use of the elemental mastery. Doggy, you can bring some footage up of Fischl using it behind me right now, if you would please. You can do that. Again, you would need to use her burst twice in the 18 seconds to get the full passive. She does want elemental mastery, especially if you're going to have her in an aggravate team, but the stringless is just going to be 10 times better at doing it. But if you don't have stringless, like it took me a year and a half to get a single stringless, then this weapon can be all right. Now, the other possibility that I thought of that this could be okay in would be if you were desperately trying to do a Nilou Bountiful Core team and you needed Calais for a Dendro driver, right? Calais's burst does also give an EM buff, so like that can go well together. She can use the EM main stat, she can use her burst. She doesn't have a super high energy cost, so she can use her burst, get the extra elemental mastery, so that way if she is creating blooms, then it can be fine, right? It's one of those really weird situations where like if you were desperately trying to make this weapon work on somebody else, you could possibly do it on like Kale and Sethos and Fischl, and I don't think I could come up with another one. If you have thought of another character that might be able to use this, put it down below. My other thought was like C6 Fischl with Kaching, having the boomerang spin around. Kale would like the elemental mastery for triggering the spread reactions, but even then still, stringless would be better, or just really any other bow. It's such a weird weapon that right now only Sethos can really fully use this weapon. Also, I wonder how many different ways I've said his name in this video. I'll see you later. Doggy, Doggy, I'm just telling you to put a bunch of stuff up around me, right? Put a counter right here. How many times? No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. All right, that is going to be it for this video. If you have, it's not going to be the end of this video. My screen just reminded me. Make sure that as you're doing this event, you go back in here and you get the Cam and Cables of Law refinement material to get the weapon to R5. I made a video talking about this kind of stuff, and so many people were like, I forgot to claim that because I didn't know what it was. Go claim the stuff, which I don't know how you'd be missing out primos. Go claim the refinement material stuff, refine this bow up to R5, especially if you're going to be using Sethos, because when I was making his basics guide, it was actually a ton of fun to use, and if I wasn't not pulling, I'm at like 71 pity, I'm not doing another pull on for anything. But this weapon could be very, very good for him. Make sure you get that stuff. Make sure you R5 your event weapon, and that is going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, do be sure to leave it down in the comments. Myself or somebody else be sure to answer it. I'll see you in the next one. Dear, oh great and powerful Chiori, I pray that you bless Doggy's Abyss runs with this amazing Hypercarry Chi-Chi team. May your Geo soul help. May your fashion soul help Doggy's wonderful runs. And in Chiori's name, amen.